Hi everyone, welcome back to the new episode of Ecom 365. I'm co-founder and CEO of ShopAgain.io. For this episode, I have a new guest with me. Since 2010, Jason has been a prominent figure in the New York City SEO space. He started as an SEO freelancer, ranked his first firm at the top of the Google search results. Then he expanded his SEO company into the search marketing agency called Break the Web Search Marketing. Since then, he has consulted with some of the most popular brands in the world. Thanks for joining us, Jason. How are you doing today?
Doing pretty good. Thank you so much for having me.
Could you educate our audience a little bit about what exactly is SEO?
SEO is a marketing strategy and processes which involve signaling to the search engines like Google the relevance and context of your website while also enhancing trust and value and authority in the space. The idea of the process is to, of course, enhance visibility in the organic search listings, not paid ads, which might appear at the top with the word ad, but more so providing the metrics that the search engines use to rank websites at the top, whether it's creating relevance on the website, the page, or bringing in outside authority and trust signals from other websites back to yours.
Tell us a little bit about your background, how you got into it.
My background is not at all related to marketing, SEO, technology. It was actually physical therapy way back when. That's what I was in school for. It just wasn't the right fit for me. And I ended up not completing my full PT program and leaving and working as a personal trainer until I figured out what's the next step in life, that moment that we all get at one point. And I was tired of relying on the new memberships and the leads coming into the gym to enhance my personal training business personally with a bigger gym chain. So I thought, what if I can have people who are going to Google and typing in personal trainer NYC come to me? And that's what started the journey of figuring out, okay, how to be on Google, fell into what is SEO and the acronym search engine optimization, and a lot of trial and error, failure, success. I realized, okay, I enjoy this challenge. I love this puzzle. And that became the new passion ever since.
When was this, when you were in the gym and you thought of the SEO?
It was probably about 2009, 2010 era.
That's almost 13 years. Amazing. Not a lot of gym trainers go about learning SEO as the next step.
Yeah, most trainers, they're really good at training and they're really good at providing really great results with their clients, but they're not great at sales or marketing. And that's a whole underutilized aspect of personal training that nobody realizes. And you become reliant on external factors for your own success. So when you're only getting paid per client you're training or per hour, you want to try to maximize that. And that was my motivation initially was, okay, how can I kill it with sales, selling personal training? Okay, great. Got that down. Now, how can I do these sales? How can I get people to come to me and actually put my face in front of more people? And that was the rabbit hole of SEO initially.
I would say one thing on that front, when you thought about how do I sell my personal training, you were already ahead of the curve because you are absolutely right. Most of the people who have certain expertise don't think about how do I sell this expertise unless you are a freelancer.
Yeah, it's severely underutilized. And that's not just personal training. Like you said, it could be any area, IT services, creating a new medical clinic. If you're a doctor, there's all different things in not only honing your craft, but also learning how to distribute and spread the word if you are a small team or just a solo person. That is unfortunately more expertise you have to acquire.
Tell us one thing, Jason. How can an e-commerce store utilize SEO with a small budget?
Yeah, trying to maximize as much possible would be probably a really great starting point. Like the website itself, making sure that there's page titles, there's page differentiation. Even more importantly, you don't have competing pages that might go against or satisfy the same search intent, the reason why someone's making a search, and trying to make sure that you have really crafty page titles, meta descriptions, header tags, images, and messaging, so that you could, of course, get that click from search to your website and then convert that traffic to sales.
Okay, you said first point you made about a page was, have a crafty headlines. Could you elaborate more on that?
Yeah, so there's a page title that would appear at the top of your browser or your tab when you are on a website. And that same page title is often used to be your title in the search results. Now, making sure you have a page title that A, hones in on the product, the category, the content, whatever it is, and the keyword or query or the intent behind a specific search, coupled with crafty messaging, hot words that are used in the industry, things to compel somebody to click on your listing versus a competitor's listing.
Okay. How much do you think an e-commerce store need to invest in it?
And it depends on the market. Are there 5 competitors or are there 100 competitors? Are those 5 competitors doing SEO? Are those 100 competitors doing SEO? There is something about SEO being either too cheap or too expensive that might give people a weary eye. From a bias standpoint, because we have an agency, I would say 1,000 to 1,500 might be the starting point at the bare low minimum. Just because SEO, there's a lot of things that are involved outside of someone's expertise and their time and their processes that they use, but also it's a lot of manual work and it's not as push button, for example, as Google Ads could be. It tends to get more expensive, but also depends on who you hire. Do you hire someone in-house? Do you hire an agency? Do you hire a freelancer? Where is the agency or the freelancer located? Are they in the US? Are they in Canada, UK? Are they in Southeast Asia? All these different things might impact the specific costs, but something should be wary if it's a little too good to be true in terms of how cheap it might be, but also mind-blowing in terms of how expensive it might be.
So your answer brings one question to my mind. Consider a niche, for example, health and wellness. So you have competition and people have done SEOs. Your competitors have done that. Then what could be the approach?
First, aim to, I imagine it might be micro niche in a way. So health and wellness is, of course, very broad. And if you just want to target health and wellness, probably best to just stay away from SEO as a marketing vertical, because you'll have websites like Healthline, WebMD, Mayo Clinic, just absolutely dominating all the type of results, pretty much no matter the intent. But for example, if you can get even more specific on your product you're offering, maybe your value propositions, that's where you can aim to win. When it comes to some really good quick wins, content is always a great one. Having articles, resources, really good, valuable contextual information to hone in on a specific topic, as long as that topic might be top of the funnel, informational. If you want to, of course, sell your product more, but somebody's typing in how to lose weight, your product is probably not going to satisfy the intent behind that specific search. But if you had, again, this is an extreme example, a content piece focused on how to lose weight, there's a better chance that you can capture those visits and then aim to drive people down the next stage of your funnel, whether it's an email capture, whether it's a click to another article, click to a product, whatever your funnel setup on the e-com site might be.
I want to point out one thing that Jason mentioned here, especially when you are in an area where there's a lot of competition and your competitors have done a good job of SEO, then you want to narrow down on a small niche and avoid broad categories as much as possible, because your competition, even the big brands, might have done a lot of SEO around it already, and your best but your value for money is to just focus on a small niche where your value lies. So that's a great point. What are some bad SEO practices that online stores should avoid?
Oh, that's a lot. There's a lot of them. I'll name a few just to keep it concise. One thing I can think of, like I mentioned earlier, is competing pages. I know, for example, we tend to see this in many of our own, especially Shopify clients, e-com Shopify sites, in which they tend to create category, PLP, or collection pages for every sale, everything under the sun, which end up having essentially duplicate content. The results and the products that are listed in the grid essentially are just about the same. They satisfy no intent. Even more importantly, they might be orphaned, in which there's no direct path that you can click through to get to that page. And what that does is it just creates a lot of website bloat. And essentially what we would want to do is, if anything, no index those pages, make it easy for Google to see that page, and they should not include it in their database. Let's say, for example, you have an email promotion going out for Black Friday sales, and there's no way to click naturally from the website to that Black Friday PLP page. Making sure that page is no indexed, removed from sitemap is one easy way to help avoid bloat, take up the crawling budget, as well as possibly inadvertently create competing pages. That's one thing. Do you want more?
Yeah, sure. These are great
Okay.
points. In fact, I want to add one thing to this, what you just said. I have personally seen this happening a lot, and this is a very common question I see people asking in the community, that I have these four shirts, blue, red, white, and black. Should I create four pages for them, or should I create just one?
Yeah, you actually took away my next one, which is faceted navigation in a way, in which, let's say you're on a PLP category page and you want to start using the filters to hone in on your product, whether it is size and then color and then maybe fabric. And a lot of mistakes that tend to happen in ecom is when you add those filters, the URL may change. And what happens there is you're creating a brand new URL variation of, again, duplicate, possibly thin pages that serve no value. With a CMS platform like Shopify, for example, and it could be BigCommerce, for the most part, they have it set up standard, depends on the theme, that when you click on a filter, the URL might change, but there's something called a canonical, which is it's in the code, it's the true URL of a specific URL. This helps signal that no matter how many filters you add, no matter how long the URL becomes with various parameters, the main parent URL is the true URL and not to index all other possible, what could be millions of variations of that URL. And that's when sites don't properly implement faceted navigation. That's where there creates even more, again, more bloat, more variations, takes up a lot of crawling power, and just gives a really bad SEO experience for the search engines. And then, of course, when you, on a product level, like you said, have the variations at different colors, that's something to keep in mind too, especially when it comes to demand. Does a specific color and product warrant its own page due to search demand, or does it probably better for the main page? Things to consider.
Tell us one thing. You've been in this industry from 13, 14 years. How much of the SEO has changed over the years?
Anything I did a decade ago wouldn't do today. It just won't work. Back in the day, SEO results, and this was the standard, whether it was right, wrong, classified as spammy, classified as not, that was the standard a decade ago, using tools to automate mass link building, links from forums, comments, social bookmarking. Pretty much overnight, with a click of a button, you can build 20,000 links going back to your website. And it worked very well. It was a standard, and Google cracked down on it with various algorithm filters, in which the biggest changes over time were things became a bit more manual versus tools and automation, where now you need to be focused on genuinely providing value on your pages, trying to create a correlation between your value in your page with a specific search intent, and then, of course, acquiring trust signals from around the web, like links, coming to your website, natural trust signals. So yeah, the game has changed significantly. Because of that, SEO has become more expensive, more time intensive, and even takes sometimes a little bit longer to get results. We used to see results in 2-3 days back in the day, like really good results, but things have changed since then.
Yeah. And listening you, it makes sense from the perspective of Google, right? They are trying you to genuinely create good and valuable content, which people want to read. And that's what they want to show in their search results too.
Yeah, I think that's their goal. Whether they implement their changes from an algorithm standpoint correctly or not, that's a much different conversation, because sometimes when they make an algorithm change, the search results might even sometimes get worse. And then they revert the change, which happens very frequently. So, of course, their big goal is to drive clicks to ads. They want to make money, and they want to keep people on Google as long as possible, not clicking out into search results. So that's definitely their number one, and that's obvious. And then, of course, number two, they know that if they want to keep users' trust as high as possible, then having quality search results, answering questions, matching the intent is going to be super critical. So while it's a good thing that they've become a bit more advanced and the quality has gone up, sometimes at what cost? Sometimes if there's a great brand that is truly valuable, but hires a really bad SEO company, not their fault, they may take a hit as well. So a lot of different things. At the end of the day, I think it is a good thing to be user-centric, user-focused. Do I believe they are 100% user-focused now, big corporations?
Fair enough. I heard you're a skydiver too. So tell me, if I Google a skydiver, will your blog post be the first search result?
No, it won't. But I have our agency. We like doing what we call brand asset projects, in which our agency will act as a holding company for various brands, whether it's content sites, whether it's D2C type sites, drop shipping or whatnot. One of them happens to be a skydiving drop zone directory. So if you happen to type in a lot of like skydiving in New York or Utah, or maybe buy used skydiving gear, then you will see our website. But again, like you said, going really broad in a specific topic like health and wellness may not necessarily give you the greatest results, but micro niching into subtopics or subcategories would be really helpful.
Thanks for joining us, Jason. This episode was sponsored by ShopAgain.io, an AI-powered customer retention platform. Thank you for joining us.